The benefits of extended breastfeeding.
I try to do the best I can, try to be considerate.
So I know a lot of ladies do not like to call it extended breastfeeding. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just trying to explain what that is for the new folks. I have been breastfeeding for the last 5.5 years straight because I breastfed my eldest right on up until the baby was born, and then I tandem nursed them for a little bit, just for a few weeks, and then I am still nursing my baby who is not yet 2. At this point, there are no plans to wean her, and if I were to get pregnant again, I would really try to nurse her all the way through the pregnancy and tandem nurse her as well. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 6 benefits of extended breastfeeding. I think a lot of ladies like to call it something else. I can't remember what you call it, but honestly, different semantics don't offend me. I don't know. My favorite reason, which I forgot to include, it dramatically reduces my risk for breast cancer, as in women who breastfeed for 8 years or more virtually never suffer from breast cancer. Every day that you breastfeed, it reduces your risk even more. Story time. There's this show I really love. You should check it out. Totally check it out. It's called Cross-Politic. If it's not your thing, that's cool. So imagine my excitement when one of the hosts of that show, Gabriel Wrench, spoke a couple weeks ago at my homeschool co-op. So I am like nervous about my homeschool co-op. My eldest just entered kindergarten. So imagine my excitement when he spoke at the chapel service at my homeschool co-op. Like, I was so excited. His sermon was whatever, you know, it was probably, he was probably aiming at kids that are trying to go to college, because he was there to recruit for St. Andrew's College, or New St. Andrew's College up in North Idaho. I was very excited to hear from him, and just what a small world. My husband and I had just found out about their show maybe a few months prior. It's a kind of a new show. So I go up and introduce myself to him after, as I'm taking my kids home, trying to get them home for nap. And I'd had tons of anxiety joining this co-op. Like, there was a lot of reasons. Like, I was thinking, oh, is this the right thing? Oh my goodness. And then I saw him speak there, and I thought, gosh, this is so encouraging that just because I joined this co-op, I get to hear from this guy who's on the show that my husband and I really like. A couple days later, after the co-op, the show is on, Cross-Politic. I turn it on, and I'm in the chat. I'm like, hey, you spoke at my homeschool co-op. It was so cool. And then Gabriel Wrench, he says in the show, I spoke at a homeschool co-op this past week. Imagine our excitement. We think our little co-op's getting a shout out. And he goes on to say, there was a lady nursing a 2-year-old in the audience. That is not preparing them for adulthood. And then his co-host partner said, oh, we're gonna get all the hate mail now. And they quickly changed the subject and moved on with the show. And in the chat, I said, it might have been me, ha ha ha, and everyone liked my comment or whatever. And I was just like dumbfounded how, first of all, you're there recruiting for a college. His friend went out on a limb and allowed him to come speak to her homeschool co-op that she put together to recruit for his job. And then, how does he repay her but criticizes one of the homeschool moms on a show, like, for everyone? Okay, cool. All right. When he had the opportunity to give a shout out to my homeschool co-op, the only thing he said was something critical. Like, what? Also, I'm like really confused because every doctor I know, like my board certified pediatrician, whether they're a hippie or whether they're like way full on board with Western medicine, says that 2 is like the age to try to make it to. The benefits don't peak until the age of 2. That's like the current research right now. So every doctor I know, my pediatrician, my midwife, one of my midwives is a doctor, and my chiropractor, my physical therapist, like all of the medical community that I personally know, when they find out that I'm still nursing my 23-month-old, they're like, good for you. So I was like really surprised that he thought 2 was extended breastfeeding. I don't know if he was talking about me or another mom in the audience, because I know there are other moms in my homeschool co-op that still nurse their older toddlers or babies. But anyway, I just thought that was hilarious. I still love the show. Check it out, Cross Politic. So, obviously, there is some misunderstanding and some misinformation about breastfeeding in the community. However moms want to do it has never offended me. I have friends from New Zealand who say the Christian community just like openly breastfeeds there and it's not seen as a sexual thing or offensive or whatever. I personally try to keep it private and try to keep covered up if I'm nursing my kid in public. That's just me and what I'm comfortable with. I'm not offended how other people do it, but I think that because of the lack of information in the community and how important the nutrition is for our kids, that maybe it's time for me to be a little bit more open, because there is a lot of ignorance surrounding this topic. I'm not saying I'm just gonna like pop it out. If that's your thing, I don't care. I mean, I support you. I will probably get a lot of weirdos and a lot of ignorant people commenting who won't even listen to the whole video. But these are just some benefits that I found. I also want to say fed is best. Do what you got to do, mama. If you do not nurse your baby for whatever reason, I am not judging you. Like, there are so many different situations in this world. This is not a judgment to the mamas who use formula. I hate that. I hate that. What if she's a working single mama and she's exhausted and she's like facing postpartum depression and she just needs her sleep? If you still can feed in that situation, great, but please don't look down on those who feel like they can't. That's just one example of a very good reason a mama might choose to use formula. There's so many other reasons. Formula is not the best, but a dead mommy is also not the best. For some women, formula actually is the best, because if they don't have the ability to nurse, or maybe they can, but they're just so exhausted on the brink of, like, I don't know. It's none of my business. Just know that if you choose formula, first of all, I hate judgment about that kind of thing. It's so silly. Obviously, we know that breast milk is the best nutrition out there, but there are a lot of factors, and sometimes you have to play the game you've been given. Life is like a game of solitaire. So do what you gotta do, mama. I love you, but this video is for those who are wanting to learn more about extended breastfeeding, and these are the benefits that I found. And these are in no particular order. Number one, I had no problem latching with my baby compared to the first time. So I have two girls at home. I had no pain, no problems latching, because I never stopped breastfeeding. I mean, I'd breastfed already the day that she was born. I'd nursed my 3-year-old. It was just easy. My midwife told me that that would happen if I stuck it out, that latching and nursing would be a lot easier, and she was right. I was like an advanced nurser from day one with this baby. I didn't have to relearn. I didn't have to teach my boobs to do what they needed to do again. We could even like do the advanced positions, like lay down while nursing, and it was just like way easier. Number two, there was no jealousy between the oldest toward the youngest. I did allow them to tandem nurse for a couple weeks after the baby was born. Science proves that people who eat together bond. There are certain hormones that are let out into your body when you eat with people. Breastfeeding is bonding between two people, like the mother and the child bond, but then you add the factor on top of that, that the children are eating together, and then they are bonding even that much more. So there was zero jealousy for new baby. My eldest was super excited and continues to be super excited about her little sister, and there's just really not that animosity. There could be other factors, of course, but that is one of the benefits that I have seen. Number three, and this is not important at all, but one benefit I have seen is that my boobs don't sag. There, I said it. My boobs don't sag, they're not deflated, there aren't really any stretch marks, and they are almost as perky as when I was 16. Obviously, you'll just have to take my word on that. Yeah, This is not an important factor, but it's just one benefit that I have seen. I'm thinking it's because they haven't filled and deflated and filled and deflated and filled and deflated with the 3 different pregnancies I've had. They've just kind of stayed full the whole time. And I'm sure that the sagginess will come someday, but it just hasn't come yet. That's a pretty fun benefit for being 37 and still having perky boobs. So I hope there's no guys watching. If there are, why? Why are you watching? Number 4, money. It's cheap. It has cut down our grocery budget. Oh, also formula is very spendy. Those of you mamas who choose to use formula or you have to use formula, you definitely know that it is spendy. And if you do use formula, might I suggest doing your research and figuring out how to make your own goat milk formula from home. They sell powdered goat's milk, or they sell goat's milk in cans, or you can get local raw goat's milk. And then you can add different supplementations to it, which change over time as the child gets older. Obviously, babies need more fat and carbs than older children do. But might I suggest you do some research about that. Store formulas, even Organics Best or whatever, they still don't have the best ingredients. And goat's milk is a lot closer to human breast milk than cow's milk or a lot of those formulas out there. But you do have to add some supplementation to the formula. That is just a side note. Number 5, nutrition. My kids have never taken antibiotics. They've never had an ear infection. They have never had a lot of the illnesses that have gone around because they're breastfed. Just because a child turns 2 doesn't mean the antibodies in breast milk just disappear. Breast milk does act like an antibiotic. It changes and evolves with what the child needs. It's really quite magical, God's design. Some of you will be offended that I use the word magical. God's design is absolutely amazing that as the child gets older or if the child is sick, the breast milk changes and evolves to be what the child needs. It is also amazing that once you get pregnant, the breast milk automatically resets for the new baby, or if you were to adopt a baby and breastfeed that baby, your breast milk would adapt to whoever is the youngest child nursing. So say you're nursing your toddler and you're nursing your baby, it's going to be the nutrition that the baby needs. So that means it's going to be like the higher calories, the higher fat, and higher carbs, which are not going to hurt your toddler, especially these days where people's nutrition is usually not the best due to time, finances, whatever. If your child is sick, the breast milk knows to change based on what sickness the child has. It is quite miraculous. Number 6, bed rest. I experienced bed rest a number of times since I had my first child. It was very easy to prepare a snack for my child if my husband was out. I could bide my time till he got back by just nursing them and snuggling them in bed. I hope you found this helpful, and for those of you who disagree with my choice and how I am raising my children and the nutrition I'm providing for them, I would like you to know that I really don't care about your opinion. A middle-aged lady I know, she's actually a pastor's wife, nursed her children until they were like 3 years old, and one of them is a PA and the other one is an RN. So I think that they turned into fine adults. They didn't nurse till they were 16. They nursed till they were like 3 or something. People in Papua New Guinea nurse their kids till they're like 5 or 6. It's different depending on where you're at in the world, and a lot of people think that that's the reason children's teeth fall out at 5 or 6 and then they get their adult teeth, is because that's kind of the oldest age you would nurse depending on what culture you're in. But 2 years old is the recommendation right now to try to make it to 2 because of so much protection that it gives your child against future cancer, tooth decay. Beyond that, it's not going to hurt them. Even my dentist said that the high sugar content in breast milk is nothing compared to the way kids eat today, and that he is happy that I'm nursing, that the benefits far outweigh like the possibility that they're getting too much sugar content from the nursing, because they brush their teeth and floss and all of that, and their teeth look great. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, leave them below. I also saw another really great breastfeeding tips video recently by Joyful Mothering. I think that is the name of her channel, so I will link that below if I can find it. Remember, you're good, you're precious, grace, and peace.